of about $7,500.
Indeed, it will be. All right, we are off.
This is game 1 of this best of 3. And ooh, nice bombs early on. That means you will not have to farm in the escape.
Oh, that is incredibly lucky. The only thing that could make that unlucky, and I don't want to unleash the commentator curse this early in this match, but the only thing that could possibly make that unlucky is if the uncle gives us 10 bombs. I mean, what are the odds of that, really?
Last time we commentated, you called everyone correct, so 100%. Nope, fire rod.
Okay, well, that's good. Glad to know my powers have dwindled. Fire Rod's actually also really good. Fire Rod's probably one of the fastest escapes you can have, just because it dispatches things much more quickly than you can usually when you've got that sword. So this has got to feel good coming into escape. You got an easy weapon. You've got bombs. Obviously, it's going to be something else trolling us later on. We'll find that out as soon as we leave escape and make it into Kakariko Village, where we're probably going to find absolutely nothing.
Yep. While Gloin has a relatively easy round, in the round of 16, Andy actually had to play 4 matches. He had a tie in his game 3.
Yes, indeed. The match ended, I believe, within 1 second.
Yep, and by the rules of this tournament, 3 seconds is a tie.
It is indeed.
Silver arrows showing up really early.
And that is also a beautiful start. Now all we need is the bow to pair that with, and we have an actual potential destination coming out of here.
Nothing so far, unfortunately.
No, not really. Nothing interesting.
What we'd love to see here is the Mire. Like, there's a really fast escape.
Yeah, Mire in Zelda's chest is about as good as it gets. No.
Map's not quite the Mire.
Not quite. Okay, so we have a fully stacked sewer. We found both our map and our small key in the front half of escape. I gotta admit, while we're heading out of escape here, I have no idea what the sprite is that Gloin is playing as. I don't think I've seen that before.
Andy Sprite, of course, his famous pug.
Yes, indeed. I don't think he'd go anywhere without it.
Anyone from the pug farm in the chat today?
I'm sure there's 1 or 2 of them in there. That, good gracious. I mean, it's clearly the girl sprite from the Satellaview version of A Link to the Past, or the Satellaview sequel, I guess, to A Link to the Past, but it's been colored green and weird.
Yeah, I think it's it's called Nega Satellaview. Girl. Because there's a nega pretty much everything else.
I need to expand my horizons on the sprites that I use. All right, first chest in the back. What do we got?
Moon Pearl!
Okay.
Well, we're moving pretty quickly through this seed. Still not a lot of progression, but we're pretty well set up.
Yeah, this is about as, I mean, ignoring the fact that we don't have a sword, this is about as nice as you want to get set up coming out of here.
Nothing
Okay.
going on there, just the Big 20, the Vampire Stake, and a bomb capacity upgrade. Nice to have early. Well, everything but the Vampire Stake.
Okay. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff that's going to be nice and helpful later on. Sure, the fire rod's beautiful to have this early on, at least as far as having a weapon goes. Although, by the time you get out of escape, you're kind of out of magic, which is a little bit troubling. Hey!
Nice, more bombs. You're pretty set on bombs for a while now. You'll be able to get through all of Kakariko at the very least.
Yeah, quick refill is nice.
Got a quick map check. We got normal crystals on Tower of Terror and Desert Palace, and a non-green pendant on Eastern. And they're both doing this new routing we've seen. Typically, what used to happen is they would go up and check the lumberjack spot to see if they have to do bag of one. Now they figured out that it's probably better not to do that.
Yeah, more often than not, it just winds up being a waste of time.
Yeah, and quite honestly, you could start figuring out when it's an Naga seed, when you get the boots, etc.
Yeah, exactly. I think you can make, if you're going to make your way up there, you've probably got something to get yourself to bonk rocks anyway, so. Not a whole lot of interest in escape, nothing of interest in the woods.
But we have the biggest chest source in the game, Kakariko Village. This or Death Mountain.
Yeah,
Maybe.
This is basically going to be do or die. I mean, this is going to be the big, what we find here. If it's anything important, it's going to be what sort of sends us in different directions for the rest of the seed. We'll see.
Well, that's the flute. Which actually, it's nice to have. And the hammer.
Oh, whoa.
Both nice to have, however, no progression without gloves. And the sword. So
that's beautiful. And of course, the best part of this is the blue male giving our pug that gorgeous ascot. Look at him, he looks like a little sailor boy.
we are the silver gloves away from Dark World. And pretty full Dark World access, I might add.
We have the shovel in the well. It's actually kind of a convenient spot to find that.
Yep, you can walk right on over and dig up right after you finish Kakariko. Not much else going on in the well, however. Two swords in Kakariko. We get the Master Sword off the Battle Vendor. Gonna unlock the duck.
Gosh, they're going to have to rename this to Kakariko Village. I am instantly sorry for that. The duck is loose. So we got access to a whole bunch of places right now.
The duck is a muck. The goose is loose. Heart container, nice to have early on.
Could be more helpful. Andy, of course, I suspect Gloin is going to do this as well. Get a refill on those bombs. Even though you got that Master Sword, it's difficult, especially if you think you're going to the South Shore. You're instantly going to be using 2 bombs while you're down there.
I think early checks you're expecting to need at least 3 bombs, considering back of Shirashala's hut and south.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to find yourself in a difficult spot where you're out.
Just a heart container on the borders, so no need to go back there.
Yeah, nothing interesting. And the prize from the maze game.
Just a capacity upgrade. And Andy opting to go straight for the dam. He's going to bypass the dig spot right now.
Yeah, that's an interesting move. It doesn't look to be like that's what Gloin is doing.
Gloin's going to dig up. Andy gets a bottle with a fairy in it out of the front of the dam. This could be our first big divergence. Let's see what Gloin digs up here.
This is interesting. I mean, this is sort of an out-of-the-way spot, and especially if you think that you can hit this later on, it's nice.
Or you can get the silver gloves right away, and Gloin has an early lead.
Oh. Gloin with that instant Dark World access.
I think Andy is going to turn the bottle. I imagine he might be going to go get the shovel after this. Oh no! You're going to have gold glove access right away.
Oh my gosh. Alrighty then. Well, we have just about complete. How long is it going to be before each of the runners heads to that other spot?
Oh no.
This is okay. Well, then I guess the next question is, are we going to see the mirror? And if so, how soon are we going to see it? Because if that thing shows up, this is all going to be fine. They're going to be able to route that in pretty easily. But otherwise, it might be a while before either one of our runners winds up seeing the golden gloves. The Titan's mitts.
Nothing going on in Mini Moldworm. This is a route choice that often happens when you're going up right. It's a little bit faster to whistle your way over to number 8 instead of walking over. Andy playing some duck dodge. Duck dodger.
The bird. Poor thing.
It's the heart container. I would not be surprised to see a fake flipper out of here.
He's pulling out his flute. He's probably thinking maybe it's time to dip the Dark World. Or maybe he's taking a quick warp down to 8.
Yeah, down to 8.
Yeah. There you go. See if Gloin follows suit. No, saving quitting.
This is the earliest you can get to Mire area if they check both spots. The boots are on the hidden island.
Okay.
Hidden island? The lake island.
Lake Hiley Island. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, we might need the mirror to get to desert. We might need it to get into swamp. We might need those boots to get into desert. We might need them to get into Mire. Who knows?
Gloin just did a check of the island as well. Nothing going on at the hobo.
The other interesting thing about that is that makes the mirror 100% required, because that means that you can't do the boots water walk in order to get the boots. So we're going to have to pick up the mirror at some point. Guaranteed.
Or the flippers.
If we want those. Yeah, and the flippers.
Boots doesn't have to be required for completion or logic. Not until we see what's on the Torch and Desert Palace.
Yeah, we really don't know yet. We know we need to get into Desert Palace. We may even have, there are technically conditions where we could have a logically boots locked Desert Palace where we
Gloin's
can
about to get the
really
gold
finish
gloves.
without it. Ooh. Okay.
I would not be surprised to see Gloin walk straight north and lift up that black rock. That's not what he's doing.
Okay. Well, there you go.
He's gonna go due south. I guess? Oh, he just wants to start from by the hype cave.
Yeah, exactly. He's getting his head cave start. And coincidentally, Andy heading straight for the shovel spot. So they're both going to be getting their gold gloves at about the same time. You got to be thinking after this. It is time for the Dark World.
Meanwhile, the hype cave, what I usually call the cave of mediocrity, so far living up to maybe not. That's the flippers, rupees, heart piece, and quake.
Ooh.
It was an okay cave.
All right.
A small progression cave.
Well, we'll know a little bit more once we get a map check here. Okay. Turtle Rock is one of our pendants, so the usefulness of that quake we don't really know yet, but Mire absolutely is a crystal.
And our major crystals are Skull Woods and Thieves Town, so possibility for a really early Fat Fairy check. Turtle Rock, the other pendant, which is always nice.
Green Pendant Swamp Palace, something you just never want to see. Or I never want to see. That also means that one of our potential avenues for requiring that mirror has sort of gone up in smoke.
So got a long way to go in the seed.
And we certainly do.
But I believe Thieves Town and Skull Woods are both completable at this point. Fully so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would not be surprised to see that be our next destination. It makes a whole lot of sense.
Quick check in the digging game.
Yeah, it looks like both of our runners are on track for the same play, probably, with Andy following closely on the heels.
And the mirrors in the digging game.
My God. So, yeah,
Point saving and quitting.
I mean, do you get the boots right now? Why not?
Yeah, I get. Oh yeah, you know what? You can get the boots right this second. You're right.
Like, just stop everything else you're doing. Get those boots.
I wonder if Andy will do the same thing.
Oh, I bet. The moment he knows he can have those boots, I can't see you putting it off at all.
With Swamp Palace being a pendant, we got an interesting possibility for hovering making a difference here.
Yeah, we certainly do.
And we know for a fact, in fact, thousands and thousands of people know for a fact that Andy can hover.
One or two people know that he can hover.
As he famously did it during that race in AGDQ.
That one race, that one time.
Oh, Andy
Well,
going
good.
that way first.
Well, yeah, Cave 45 is an along the way check. This makes
And you know,
sense.
Gloin hasn't checked the rest of the water areas, so that's maybe why you go run there first.
Also true. I mean, I'm halfway certain this is directly where Andy is headed, unless he decides that an uncompletable Swamp Palace sounds like a good idea.
I have to say, I really like that pug sprite.
So I genuinely hope they never find the red male, because gosh darn it, look at that pug, his little orange ascot.
Going to head up and do Skullwoods and Thieves Town, probably in that order.
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying,
I'm
up
wrong.
until the point where they found the mirror, this was kind of the most sensible play, heading to Village of Outcasts.
Actually, it doesn't make any sense to do Skullwoods first.
Yeah, I mean, if you find some better equipment here, the rest of this becomes so much easier.
Then you can flute out.
Straight into Thieves Town.
After Thieves Town, I would expect, after Thieves Town and Skull Woods, I would expect them to head on up to Death Mountain and clear that and Tower of Hera.
Yeah, it's true. We have not seen a single play into Death Mountain so far, but we've got the mirror, we've got the hammer, we've got the gloves.
And the flute to get up there.
Exactly. We have a plethora of chests just sitting there waiting for us.
No dark runes required. You're going to see 3 dungeons in rapid succession. It's taking 20 minutes to get to the first dungeon. And they also mentioned we had the fire rod, so Tower of Hera is full clearable.
It is indeed.
And Ice Palace is basically full clearable. You have to do a little bit of work to get around the hookshot room.
Yes. We might see our runners avoid it just because knowing that it's not logically required so far means maybe you could go mode it later if you get lucky. Who knows?
Yeah, considering you have 3 dungeons in full-on logic, you might want to do this first.
I think Desert Palace is also in logic, is it not?
Yes, it is. With the mirror and the gold gloves and the flute. Absolutely it is.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Whoa, the seed might move a bit. We're still waiting on the Cane of Samaria for Mire.
And we absolutely need that bow. We will never not need that bow.
No, you need the bow.
Yeah, we also technically don't know our entry fee into Misery Mire yet, although we found 1 out of 3 of those medallions. So.
Long way to go before they go into Mire, though.
Oh yeah, I don't suspect. Mire area is probably furthest from their minds on the list of possible things that they can do right now.
Maybe not area, but Mire itself. Just because you they want to do DP, but it's going to be after Hera and Skullwoods in this.
Yeah. The nice thing about the entire Mire area is it's just not that hard to get back to.
Nope. Gloin having a very small lead right now, but 50 things that can happen between now and the end.
Yeah, it's going to depend. I suspect right now we're going to see like exactly what we're looking at. Thieves Town gets cleared out, Skull Woods gets cleared out, and then it's going to be a matter of what happens after that.
Meantime, we get to watch 2 side-by-side runs of 2 exceptional runners, especially in execution.
Yeah, it's especially interesting to see sort of at this level, both runners making not precisely the same checks in the same order, but largely having the sort of same thought process about what they're finding. With Andy, for example, ignoring Death Mountain and saying, let's head down with that shovel. That's as likely a point of progression as anything else. Speaking of which, Thieves Town, thanks for nothing, I guess.
Yep, Gloin taking care of it real quick. Andy entering the boss right now. Remember, Andy checked all the sides at Thieves Town, so they may line up right after this.
Yeah, once Andy gets out of here, they're essentially going to be neck and neck.
Oh, Gloin going south.
So he's doing the blacksmiths.
Yes, he is, and so is Andy.
I guess it's hard to ignore it when you're in the neighborhood. Like, it's not going to really be a better time to do this. And the number of times you find something interesting in hammer pegs, that's just too hard to ignore.
I can't imagine they're doing the world tour after this, however.
No, I suspect they will probably grab their purple chest. Possibly Flute is having Flute back here.
Nothing going on in pegs.
No, unfortunately.
And at the blacksmith. A heart container, which is not that useful anymore. Yep, going heading right on back up to Skull Woods. Oh, Andy's gonna do the world tour.
There you go. I mean, it's a lot easier when you have the flute in the mirror.
Oh, I guess so.
Still, though, this is an interesting choice when you've got Skull Woods right up there.
It also isn't too hard to just flute back to 3 and walk up.
Nah, it's got to feel nice cleaning up these sort of threads that otherwise they'd kind of get left there.
Just a heart container.
Yeah, that's got to feel nice as well, I guess. Ooh,
Andy going
okay.
into 8. He's going to do Desert Palace, it looks like, first.
Yeah. I mean, this is nice because he gets that information of exactly what the Mire medallion is. And
It is Quake.
Quake. Okay.
No more medallions required.
We have our Mire medallion.
Well, I got Bombos too anyway.
Just for funsies.
Yep, this is going to be checkerboard check, and then maybe DP?
I suspect that we get a DP dip right now. I mean, especially on the off chance of if you find that's the wrong cane.
That's
Come
not
on.
the cane you want. Andy's decided it is the cane he wants.
Yeah, I mean, when you don't
Makes
have
it
any
a
other
bit-
access to Spike Cave,
Yeah, and it makes life a bit easier. Gloin, in the meantime, making his way through Skull Woods. Nothing terribly useful there so far.
no, it's been pretty much stuff to sort of shepherd him further into the dungeon. And $300.
That's not a joke at this point.
No. That just moves you into Zora range. Which I don't think Gloin went up to the Zora area.
No, not at all.
Andy did wind up checking what was on the Zora ledge. Wasn't able to go back and actually get the Zora item. Also, this was a 100% boots required desert palace, and therefore boots required seed. Cannot get to the back of this dungeon without that big key. So what's nuts about this is we are 30 minutes into this thing, and what are we hoping for? We're hoping for the bow, we are hoping for the red cane. That's pretty much it.
More or less.
And anything else would be nice.
The hook shot, if of course they both can't, if one of them can't hover.
That's true.
Because the hook shot is theoretically required for the end of Ganon's Tower.
That is true. And at this point, it is also potentially able to be in Ganon's Tower because as far as we know, we don't need it before that point.
What I like about Gloin's play here, Gloin now has the 2 crystals to open up Fat Fairy.
That's true. So if he wants to leave here and do sort of the purple chest route, he can sort of worm his way into doing the pyramid as well.
Being confirmed that it's Gloin apparently has hovered before.
Well, that makes this match doubly interesting. We have a potential hookshot not required.
No, hookshot is required magically for Ice Palace, so it can't be in Tower.
Oh, that's true. Oh.
Yeah, that's... Hopefully that the bow isn't on the pedestal.
Yep.
Oh, it can't be. It can't be.
No, yeah, it can't be there. It can't be on Trinex. We're not looking for that. I mean, gosh, it could be the hookshot.
Against the Mire, it can't be on Trinex either, so the Ice Rod is totally useless.
I mean, yeah, there is the bow on Trinex problem.
Going to head on up to North Dark World. And the mirror shield a half an hour in.
All right. It's too early to be saying that the bow is going to be in Turtle Rock, even though, gosh, the bow
Oh,
just
Andy
wants
gonna
to hang
handle.
out in Turtle
We're
Rock.
gonna see a large black screen from Andy for a while. He goes to take care of Death Mountain checks.
Yeah, we are finally getting those Death Mountain checks. We are finally getting the rest of the boots checks out of Gloin. Well, we sort of know, at the very, very least, the boots had to.
Lamps
Okay.
at King's Tomb.
There you go. Yeah, the boots at the very, very least had to show up in order to get us access into the back of the Desert Palace. As it turns out, I mean, that is technically required as well.
I'm gonna check out the Catfish and all of the Zor area. Nothing going on top of Spectacle Rock. Inside, however, also nothing.
A whole lot of cash. So I expect, given the time sink that was put in to go and grab that blue cane. Oh no, never mind. We're going.
He might go back
straight.
after.
Yeah, that's true. You want to come up here, finish Tower of Hera, then come back down and do your Spike Cave check.
Oh, and the Tempered Sword out of Catfish.
Oh.
This is really an interesting divergence here for everybody.
Yeah, that is a nice find. And this ends up being really lovely routing on Gloin's part.
Oh,
Let's
and
come
Andy's
back
going to have
here.
to take a break.
Well, that's fine. I mean, so is Gloin as well.
Nothing going on Zora Ledge.
Well, he's going to figure out whether we are looking at actual progression or whether we are just going to get scammed once again. I'm hesitant to say exactly whether that's a scam. Certainly wasn't what we were looking for.
Alright, Gloin heading on up to Tower of Hera as well.
Yeah, we really haven't found anything in Tower of Hera so far. Hoping for that bow, hoping for that red cane, and I'm sure despite the ability to hover, neither of our runners here would complain about seeing the hook shot.
And you're going to do a bomb jump. Very hard to do without the boots. Yeah, much more of a window if you can get into that bouncing animation.
Right, Moldorm here hanging on to our second item. What you got, bud?
And using some hammer strats.
Oh, those patterns.
Always no fun. Just more money.
All right, well, whatever we were looking for on Death Mountain, there's much, much more of a chance of it being over on East Death Mountain than there is of it hanging out here in Tower of Hera. This was more just a trip for the crystal, and maybe hoping that there was something inside there that we needed.
Park container and Sprout Cave.
Beautiful. Right, Andy with the routing here. This is typically the way that you do. Oh, well, okay. Instantly prove me wrong, I guess.
You might want to go take a look at Turtle Rock's medallion.
That is true. My assumption was that he was going to mirror out in the bottom there, but yeah, absolutely. If you want to head up to the top, this is probably.
Oh, and the bow!
Hello.
Do you think he's gonna hover the hookshot cave?
Not anymore, no. This is the only
Still
thing.
need the cane.
Ooh. Maybe. Soft, medium, maybe. No, it is tough. Like, you definitely don't want to have to come back up here. I'd say you might give it 1-2 shots.
You know, we're a cane away from go mode.
We certainly are. 38 minutes and 51 seconds in.
Oh, a hover! Here's a hover!
Oh boy.
He gets it!
Here he goes. The one that didn't matter.
I still get very excited by hovers. Oh, Gloin takes a fall on Moldorm.
Oh, that is rough. He does have that tempered sword, though. All right, just
Let's
number
do
one.
normal box here.
Yep.
Book of Medora. That's
interesting.
that's technically in logic too.
Yeah.
And here we go. This is a harder hover to do. No problem.
Ooh.
Get the sword out
All
of it.
right, immediate value.
And he hits the other hover.
Got it. Nice. Okay. So it's no red cane, but it's value.
That
Not
it
even
is going to
bothering.
go head back to Spike Cave.
Does not care one bit what that Turtle Rock medallion is.
Me too. That is a hard thing to pull off consistently. Those hovers. It's a long way to go too.
Yeah, and if there is anywhere in the game where hovering matters, that is the room where you want to. Oh, come on.
That's been proven not to be useful.
Ah.
It's a really good tempered for Andy there because I don't know what he would have read a catfish.
Yeah, I doubt he's going to make his way up there at all. He may not even. I mean, I don't see him making his way to Zora either. One would think that Palace of Darkness is the next play, but I mean, what do I know? This is a definitely quarterfinals, definitely not semifinals match.
I think this is gonna be Skullwoods. Yep.
Yeah, this makes sense, and I mean, this is why Gloin appears to be a little bit behind. He's going to grab his bow, and he's going to clean this place up. So it'll be interesting what Gloin decides to do next.
I want to know if Glenn can hover.
Yeah, we'll see if he does this. I mean, we know for a fact that if he doesn't manage to do it, it's not going to hurt him in the long run. He's going to get, like, if we need the book, the book is exactly what we managed to get out of here.
Nope.
Nope, he's out. You know, in the long run, that's going to end up saving him just a little bit of time, unless that
he
red
comes
game's
back.
hiding deep in there. My personal favorite place to see the Red Cane show up is in its vanilla dungeon, Misery Mire. I'm curious how long it's going to be before we see a dip into Misery Mire looking for that Red Cane.
While they're repeating to their spots, I want to remind everybody to go ahead and follow both these runners. Their links are in the chat.
Ooh, Andy cutting it a tiny bit close with those torches. I don't think he was that in any real danger there.
No. With the red sword, he's going to have to basically do the sword only. Not a huge problem.
Now, this is exactly where you are in NMG. It's exactly where you want to be in random.
No problem.
All right, Gloin. I mean, he didn't flute to 5, so I gotta imagine this is the pyramid play.
Yes, it is. And with the bow, I imagine we'll be fluting to 5 and taking care of Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, it's an interesting play. It's as
Or
much as
maybe he's going
sensible.
north first. So all of a sudden he's walking back through the dungeon.
Interesting. I mean, this pyramid play is as much as good a before Palace of Darkness play as it is an after Palace of Darkness play.
Sure.
So Andy's going to wind up getting his lantern.
Lamp.
That's going to be nice to see. I mean, if nothing else, you can say, okay, I got the lantern. Maybe this game is sending me into Palace.
Oh, and a big amount of nothing from the bombs from the Fat Fairy spot.
That's too bad. If nothing else, the Palace of Darkness is looking really, really sharp right now. Yeah, it's interesting Gloin's taking this trip before he heads to the Mire area or to Desert Palace. But I mean, with the stuff that he's been given, once you pick up that bow and you pick up that lantern, you got to be thinking of heading in this direction.
Yeah, and it's also 5 chests that it's pretty hard to skip any of them no matter what, even if you're in go mode and pod.
Yeah, it's true. You have no
Might as well
idea
do
how
it.
deep in the dungeon you're going to have to go before you find that big key. So why not?
Oh, Andy might check the lumberjack cave.
Yeah, there's no reason this can't be the red game.
No, and this, yeah. That would be huge.
All right, come on. What do we got?
Nothing.
Wow. It's a big old 5 rupee. I gotta say, I'm curious to see what we see in Palace of Darkness here. We know the first chest was a small key, so this is not a bow-locked Palace of Darkness, even though we were able to collect all the items necessary to get in there before we even headed in.
Is Andy checking swamp?
I think he might be doing the same thing, checking what's on Pyramid Ferry
Oh,
as well
okay,
as the
that makes
Pyramid
sense.
before heading in.
So Andy doing a bit of a glitch. Normally when you dash with the bomb, it just sets the bomb off. If you can do it on the same frame you take damage, it will let the bomb follow you around.
Yeah, there's a couple of fun little tricks you can do to let that bomb carry around with you, including hookshotting things, which is sort of not an option right now. And my favorite one, which I've only ever been able to pull off once, which is screen transitioning while the number is at 0 at exactly the right time. Oh,
Hook shot is going to be in Palace of Darkness, so no hovering required.
yes, indeed. I mean, this is kind of what we expected to find in here, I think. Either that or the red cane.
That firmly puts Ice Palace into logic.
Oh, yeah. That does put Ice
Still
Palace into
required.
logic. Troublingly, it puts the entire thing of Swamp Palace as well as Sahasrahla
Yes.
into logic.
Andy is going to head on up a catfish. He's going to get his golden sword. I have to say, I think Gloin might have a small lead here.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it's really, really going to depend on where that red cane ends up.
We've checked Zora with Gloin. This is definitely empty.
Yeah, but Andy would be crazy to pass it up right now.
No, yeah. Red mail for Gloin.
He's getting all the wrong kinds of red.
Yeah. And you're just getting another of the wrong kinds of red.
All this red, and where is that cane?
I think Gloin's now at a point where he just needs to finish the dungeon.
Yeah, so that's a hook. That hook shot is an interesting find, and it definitely might point towards Ice Palace. But other than that, we don't have any significant leads right now on where that Red King could potentially be. It has as much a chance of showing up in Misery Mire as anywhere else. So just keep that in the back of my mind, you know.
It has as much chance of showing up on Sarashula.
This is also true. Oh boy. You know, of all those one troll items that show up at the end of a seed that you think to yourself, oh no, it's going to be the hunt for this. It's not the hunt for the bow. We found that pretty easily. It's not the hunt for the ice rod because we don't even need it. It's that stupid Red King.
Oh, another nice hover over here for Andy.
Yeah, that is a time save compared to the way that Gloin ended
humongous
up
time
having to do
save.
it. Yeah, it doesn't have to dip down to the basement, which is lovely.
Andy's hit every hover he's attempted today. And the sad part is he's about to not have to attempt any more hovers.
Yeah, he has been on point with them. Even though he doesn't have to attempt anymore, I would be surprised with how well he's been executing them here in this race if he doesn't attempt the Moldorm 2-1 anyhow.
In spite of me not shouting like I did previously, that is one of the harder hovers in the game.
That is indeed. You have to hover to a very specific point and then change direction mid-hover, which is...
Going to check out... No, he's not. I'm wondering if it's worth it to just walk into Eastern and just take a look. But not when you have DP and Mire. Nice hammer yump.
Beautiful. All right, Gloin, you got that news about that medallion requirement for Misery Mire. Do you dip? I mean, certainly you do Desert Palace first.
Yeah.
But.
Pointing out, it is low risk, high reward. That hover, however, it doesn't change the fact that it's hard to get on the first try.
Gloin has completely said no to the blue can.
Nope.
He never did pick up that cape.
No, he has not. Good news is that he doesn't need anything for Spike Cave.
All right, we're in another situation here of each player cleaning up things that the other player's already done. With Gloin cleaning up in Desert Palace right now, which is going to take a bit, and Andy at the end of Palace of Darkness, which Gloin has already cleaned up. So I guess the question is, like, what is the big play here? Where do you go? Ice Palace?
I would say Ice Palace because that's in full logic at this point.
Yeah. It's just that, gosh, every single runner knows that if you can go mode Ice Palace,
It's much better. But if it's that or dipping dungeons, possibly that you don't need to dip, you'd rather just full clear Ice Palace.
I mean, at this point, with Gloin being in Desert Palace as he is right now, there is a chance we might see him decide to dip Misery Mire, just because of the fact that, similar to how we were saying with Palace of Darkness, you gotta kind of dig around in there for the big key anyway.
Well, it hasn't checked the right side of Desert Palace, by the way.
Yeah, he's hoping for his other item over here. Or he's hoping for at least an item over here. We know he's gonna, I think, have to find another one. There was
some money over there.
All right, both of them cleaning up their bosses at the same time. Where are they off to? Well, I guess, yeah, Gloin has to pick out his one last item here from Desert Palace.
And Andy has yet to open up the back of the hut.
Oh, this is going to be trouble for both of them if it ends up being in Eastern Palace.
Yeah, neither of them sticking around to do it.
Oh boy.
Andy heading straight to Ice Palace as we expected.
Yep.
And Gloin will probably be hot on his heels.
All right, Gloin, what'll it be? The sensible play or the crazy play? I would say, given the fact that he's not mirroring out and instead is opting to head out the door here, this is probably...
What's got to do? I don't think he's done a Kini yet.
Yeah. There's no way you combo this into Mire. This is finishing up the area and then heading out.
So a slight lead for Andy at this point. But again, depends on where that Candace Mire is. I almost said Ice Rod. We can guarantee is that there's no reason to ever set foot into Turtle Rock at this point.
What's interesting to me, just from my perspective, just looking at the way that this seed has shook out, you had access to the book is an interesting thing here because it showed up sort of after we already had access to Desert Palace. So the stuff that we needed to get into Desert Palace also wound up getting us the book.
By the way, Andy just really casually doing another a hover, and Gloin is going to venture into Mire.
He is. This is interesting.
This might be your race.
Yeah, if he finds that red cane in here, he gets go mode Ice Palace, which would be amazing for him.
I guess when you're playing Andy, you just feel like you have to gamble. Oh no!
There
And
it is.
there's a Candace Mire.
Okay.
This is going to be Andy's race to lose at this point.
Well, where is that big key in Misery Mire, I guess is the question. Because, I mean, if you have to dive your entire way through Misery Mire just to find the big key anyway, then Andy's going to have a time pushing his way through here.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, we've already found 3 keys. We haven't really found anything else yet, so the trip through Misery Mire is kind of not that bad. I don't think it's going to wind up being that bad to have to double dip this place. I suspect the next thing on Gloin's menu is going to be Ice Palace. It makes the most sense.
This is an unbelievably fast seed.
Yeah, that is a sub 1 hour go mode on any side.
And I want to mention that they have red mail, gold sword, mirror shield, and the silver arrows. So it's not like they've been missing non-required items.
No. I mean, with how early they found, there's the big key back there. So I think Gloin will end up looking in a couple of more chests than Andy will have to look into. That's unfortunately going to cut into his time a little bit more as well.
Oh, I think he hit the wrong spot. Yep.
Powering his way over to Mire. Let's hope, if nothing else, that we don't wind up seeing any fetch quests show up here. Yeah, like 10 arrows. That's good. Give us 10 arrows.
This is going to put Andy a full dungeon ahead.
That was a beautiful Mire too. That is
Yeah, that was really, really good.
that was whew. Oh, I gotta cool myself off after that.
That was probably the best I've ever seen that room done, honestly.
Yeah. All right, Gloin unfortunately is out of there because he's stuck hunting around for that.
Is this going to be sub 120?
This may very well wind up being sub 120.
Yeah, it's a little 17 minutes, maybe not.
It's possible. It's not. It's not outside of the realm of possibility. We'll say.
Right.
We could wind up having an extremely fast big key hunt. I mean, it could wind up being in the first room, and if that's the case,
yeah, we got a good shot.
The trip upstairs and the fight with Ganon with the butter sword is not going to be 10 minutes.
So at the conclusion of this boss, we're going to start the big key game. What will happen is, after you see the start in chat, there are 22 chests in the bottom of Ganon's tower. I want you to type in a number between 1 and 22 if you have donated 500 bits, sub to any of the speed gaming channels, or donate to Patreon, and you get it right, you'll be entered into our leaderboard.
Kick that off shortly as soon as this giant mess of eyeballs is dead and gives us that crystal. Beautiful 5-bomb upgrade. Thank you so much for that. Vitreous. Even his name is gross. I don't like that.
All right, we'll close it out once we get into Ganon's Tower. What's your guess, number 1? My guess is 1.
My guess is always 15 because in a typical sort of Willard, what do you?
Sorry, Willard J. Bradley's making us laugh.
In a typical game that Gloin getting his
Red game
unfortunate
for
news there, he is in go mode at 106, so he gets himself in go mode 6.5 minutes ahead of, or 6.5 minutes behind Andy, and still has to clear out Misery Mire, unfortunately. Anyway, 15 in the regular case of the way that you sort of go through Ganon's Tower most often winds up being the vanilla big key chest. And it's just never in there. Boy.
All right.
Okay, so let's stop this thing. Or it has been stopped.
I got it. Chest 1 and 2, nothing going on right now, quite yet. I have a small key, so Andy's gonna have to head left.
Now, this is a forced left, which I feel in my heart means that the big key's going to wind up on the right-hand side. It never does mean that, though.
Powder on Bob's torch. But
Saying
Bob will
no
live.
to it. Ooh. Those spicy hammers.
Nothing, not on chest 4 through 6, though there is an ether medallion.
Maybe quarter heart on 8.
You mean 7.
No, that's 8. It's 2 on the right-hand side, plus Bob's torch, plus 4.
Oh,
on the
Bob's torch.
remakes.
I forgot about Bob's torch. You're right. We all make mistakes.
I've never made a mistake before. It's crazy.
Small key on 9.
All right, next up, we got the random room.
Call this such as you'd only ever enter this in Randomizer.
I'll just see the big key in here as well, just because it's a weird place to see it. No dice.
Bunch of hearts, though.
Of course, we don't really expect to see dice in any of the chests here.
I mean, if we see some, I'm gonna be amazed, so...
That'd be weird. Coming up, we got Bob's chest. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling 15.
In case you're wondering who Bob is, that's Bob, the one who looks weird.
And if you'd like to play Link to the Past Randomizer yourself and have a very difficult go of it, you can play as Bob. It is not easy. Dang it.
So that's 17, I believe.
Yep.
Going right. So the only way Gloin can really gamble here is if he decides to do Tile Room. Which I think odds are low of that happening.
Yeah, odds are pretty low. He could make up a tiny bit of time just by doing the Dark Magician route, although I'd have to say going in there an hour and 11 minutes, probably not thinking of that.
No, Gloin's actually probably feeling pretty good.
Andy, this is
Well, that was a little close from Andy, but alright, we're good.
the tiniest bit, Sketch. Everything's fine.
What if it's Tile Room?
Oh, what if it is Tile Room? It's Tile
It
Room.
is in fact Tile Room. It's gonna be 22.
Oh my goodness.
What if Gloin just does Tile Room? What if he feels behind and he just does Tile Room?
I mean, it'd catch him up, but whew. Well, and now Andy, having picked up that cape off of the Ether Medallion, tablet, rather, finally gets a tiny bit of use out of it.
Oh, and Gloin doesn't have that.
No,
It's
you're
not.
gonna have to do the Tile Room the sort of old-fashioned way of actually having to dodge the tiles.
I don't understand how this happened, but somebody guessed 23 and won. Steve Lurkel, congratulations for guessing 23 and winning. No one guessed 22.
None of you actually guess 22. No Tile Room play. All right. Well, congratulations nonetheless to Steve Lurkel.
Yeah, and Gloin's going left, so that's...
Yeah, this full. I mean, this absolutely makes sense. Unless he decides to do Dark Magician and stop by
Do the Tile Room?
the Tile Room along the way. But the fact of the matter is, the gauntlet is something all of our runners have seen hundreds upon hundreds of times. It's not anything you expect to like. It'd be pretty crazy if there was an upset at this point.
I mean, I hesitate to even say it, but can Andy despawn the dungeon?
If he's not paying attention, it's certainly not impossible. It would not be the craziest thing we've seen on the bracket stage, but I am not expecting to see it here.
No.
Okay.
A little bit of trouble. No problem. That's how good Andy is that we make noises when he has one minor hiccup.
Ooh. I mean, he's got the timing down for preventing that despawn of the rest of Ganon's tower.
Yeah.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, you do not want to be walking up those stairs when the door that you just went in shuts. If you do it at the wrong time, you have the potential of despawning all the enemies upstairs in Ganon's tower, including, you know, the
Oh,
ones
here's a
that
hover,
you
by the way.
need to clear the game. That, oh goodness, that's the
That
last
is
hover he's going to do with
a
the game.
risky hover. On the other hand, because that's not a short way back.
No, it is not. That is also a, I believe that's a perfect record this game for hovering.
He hit every hover he attempted.
It's well done, I guess is all I have to say for that. Gloin about to get his unfortunate news. There is nothing taking the left-hand route here. Andy dumping out bombs just for funsies.
Or out of frustration. Not getting great geometry from Aga 2 here. Oh, nice shot.
Here we go. Yep, bomb the heck out of him. What do you need those bombs for anyway?
We got an outside chance at this 120.
I suspect that's what we're going to see here. It does not take 2.5 minutes with Buttersword to finish up this fight.
No, yeah,
It's gonna depend on
teleports.
Teleports, yeah. But I mean, you can clean up the first two phases in a matter of a few seconds.
Just Andy showing some really nice can strats there. This is probably the fastest time I've ever seen live.
Yeah, this is a fantastic time. Gloin, meanwhile, with the Tile Room Classic strats, which is pretty much to run
Just
around
misses
the
the
room in a
torch
figure eight
village.
pattern. And I don't think it's going to matter too deeply here. He's going to come up from behind, nearly gets that triple.
Doesn't matter.
There we go.
And Andy will take it.
Cleans up Ganon, heads into the Triforce room with an official time 1 hour 19 minutes and 12 seconds. So absolutely sub 120. Ganon was kind enough to handle one of those to us. Although if you teleport around for 45 seconds, that'd be meanwhile Gloin making his way up the gauntlet. So
All right, we're joining us for an interview. Winner here, Andy. Congratulations.
Hey, thanks.
Sub 120. This was a fast seed.
Yeah, everything kind of fell into place. It was really nice. Fake flipper. I was like super hesitant on fake flippering after Ice Rock Cave because we had Dark World access at that point. But then I saw the boots and I got the flippers in the mirror like a minute and a half later. So everything just kind of worked out this seed.
So the seed mostly kind of led you by the nose, but what was your thought process in not checking Mire first? That was the difference.
So after Thieves Town, I didn't really feel like I knew I could beat Skull Woods. I knew it was a good crystal, and I knew it would open up Pyramid Fairy, but I didn't really want to I didn't feel a need to do that until I had the bow. I'm obviously, unless bow was there, that would have kind of bit me in the butt. But I after Thieves Town, I wanted to know what the Mire Medallion was. Just so I knew if I was potentially 2 items from Go mode at that point at 30-minute mark. And so because I went early, I did Desert, and then I had so much open to me. I had Hera and both East Death Mountains. I had, Pod open to me. I had Skullwoods open to me. A bunch of Overworld that was pretty close to these crystal dungeons. So I decided against going into Mire early.
One thing we were surprised about, there was a point when we essentially had, I think it was 4 different crystal dungeons that were all just open and ready to go. But regardless of that, we still wound up seeing some overworld clear, like both of you did Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb. Both of you wound up making it to Catfish. I mean, Death Mountain was the really obvious one, but both of you also wound up sort of immediately running things, or doing the blacksmith's route as well. I don't know if that was a typical thing for you, where you're thinking to just clean those things up before you head into other crystal dungeons, or whether that was a conscious choice of something that you thought was necessary at the time.
I'm a big I don't know, I guess endorser of just routing everything when it's most opportune. And if I don't do Smith after Thieves Town, I'm probably never going back into Village of Outcasts again. So if I didn't do it then, I wasn't ever going to do it. And it's quick enough with, boots and mirror and flute that I can just knock it all out in a minute or 2. Same thing with the North Darkworld stuff that's to the right of Skullwoods. If I don't do it after Skullwoods, I'm never going to go back. So, so I kind of just route. I like to group stuff together for more optimal chest collecting rather than just crystal diving when there's a ton of crystals open.
So that's sort of the same thought process that you had checking the shovel, which you wound up giving you the Titansmiths at the time.
Yeah, I didn't have the mirror yet, so I was like, I'll just check shovel now, and and see what happens. And it gave me Titansmiths, so I'm like, okay, well now I can do South Shore, and then pick up the rock and just go straight into Village of Outcasts. And I got mirror, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm gonna go get boots, and then but yeah, I really like the way I routed everything for the most part. And after I did Desert, or I guess Thieves Town and Desert, I got the bow. At that point, I was only looking for Kane, so checking all the extra stuff doesn't seem like a terrible decision to me, just because if I find the Kane there, then that pod would have been super quick if I had found the Kane somewhere else with how early the big key was. And then checking Aghanim, even without the lamp at that point, I'm pretty confident in doing Aga Tower without the lamp. So if Kane was at the Lumberjack, I was like, okay, just those kind of things, 100% define the rest of the route, rather than hoping that it's in a crystal dungeon I have to do anyways.
Looks like Gloin might finish with an extremely fast time too, probably under 126 at this point.
Yeah, my playstyle can definitely bite me sometimes because I overcheck stuff when I shouldn't sometimes, but I don't know, I group things very well in my head, so I feel like if it is in one of those locations, I'm probably going to win just because I maximize, I don't know, the movement efficiency of checking everything, I guess.
So next match is tomorrow night, same time.
You know it.
That's awesome. Gloin's going to wrap up here, but we're going to get him in for an interview as well. He's just on the last part of Phase 3 again.
I think this was also my 3rd straight seed that I've done that had Big Key in chest number 22, so that's cool.
Really?
Hey, today, Andy, somebody won by guessing 23.
Nice.
I just missed the triple.
We're going to say as well, there were some fantastic points of execution. I mean, we always kind of expect that, but like your Mire 2 just came and went. It disappeared as quickly as it came. It was nuts.
Yeah, it's nice when you get the good RNG from that one little Ropa who just kind of stays there instead of moving all the way to the right side of the screen.
GG's to Gloin, who finishes up with an official time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 35 seconds. We will pull him in here for an interview as well.
And we have with us Gloin. Gloin, tough break on the Misery Mire play, unfortunately.
Yeah, I figured it would have been really sick if it had worked out, but it didn't. I'm guessing that was mostly the difference, that plus a minute or two of execution, since he's way better than me.
And for the most part, you had sort of the same idea going into the seed of how you decided to route it. And I would say, like, some of your routing decisions even wound up working out in your favor, especially early on. You were the first one with full access to the Dark World, including those Titan Smiths.
Yeah, I've been trying to make sure I clear out a lot of Sphere Zero stuff lately, because the overworld is just usually has so many progression items. So I like to delay going into the Dark World sometimes if I think I can get more out of it out of the Dark World at the beginning. And then just diving in Mire, I like to, maybe too much, I try to go mode Ice Palace more than I maybe should. And a lot of times I like to dive a dungeon if it's my last item and that item is needed, because that can give you a big advantage if it works out, and this time it just didn't.
But other than that, it was a really fast, well-executed seed by both runners. Outside of the one routing mistake, you guys were neck and neck pretty much the whole race.
Yeah, this is one of my better execution games for sure.
Alright, so game 2 between the two of you is tomorrow at the same time, 10 p.m. Not sure what Speed Gaming channel will be on quite yet.
But given that we are in the quarterfinals, like I
Yep.
know all along, it's likely we're going to see this restream tomorrow.
Well, we'll definitely be restreamed, just not sure which channel it'll be on.
Yeah, but look out for it. That being said, since we are in the quarter, pretty much out of matches tonight, it's going to be Gem versus Pinky Rose earlier on in the day. That's going to be at 3:30 Eastern, and then same time tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern. The second match. We'll see how that turns out. It's going to be exciting.
Want to give a huge shout out to our tracker, Magic Jade 47. Could not have kept track of the items without you, quite honestly. They came really fast and furious. This was a difficult one to do. Thank you. Big shout out to both our runners, both Gloin, that's the way it's pronounced?
Yep.
Okay. And Andy.
Yeah, congratulations. Go ahead and give these folks a follow. These are clearly the top of the top of the top runners in this tournament and of Link to the Past Randomizer in general.
And I want to thank you to, of course, the lovely radio voice of Fantalis.
It's good to have you here.
Until tomorrow, that will be it for Link to the Past Randomized. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Yearly Dragon, it's been a pleasure. You all
Good
have a
night.
lovely night.